Boss, thank you for joining us. We sit here after last night's 2-1 defeat to Morecambe. What do you think were the key parts of that game as to why we lost?
It hasn't changed too much from my thoughts after the game in the post-match interview with Dave Victor. Really, I am extremely disappointed and frustrated because I think that we gave up the points. It's probably the simplest way of putting it. I thought we were fantastic in the first half an hour. As good a performance in possession and out of possession as we've put in, I think, since I've been doing the job, and gave ourselves an incredible platform. There's been times when we've played well and maybe not looked a goal threat, or played well and not quite, had an end product. But last night I felt that we had that. We come very, very close, and you're not going to go 2 or 3-0 up all the time when you're playing well. So we've got to show that relentless attitude to continue doing the things that we do well in order to make it tough for teams, because that's what we did. Morecambe found it tough. I spoke to the manager after the game and he said to me, didn't know how to stop you in the first 30-35 minutes. And that's a huge compliment, but at the end of the day we've walked away with no points. So for me, that's the second time we've done it. I'm very disappointed that we didn't build on the start that we had against Scunthorpe. So, like anything, when we lose, we have to look at what things we did well, and then we have to look at things that we didn't do quite so well. And we've covered that in an abundance with the players and as a group of staff. There's a lot to take out of it, but ultimately we didn't come away with the points, and that's deeply frustrating.
I guess yourself and the rest of the staff will all be looking at, as you've said there, you feel that's 2 games where you've started really well but then not got the result. You'll be looking at what you need to do to improve that to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, very much so. And what frustrates me when I have conversations with people is that they say to me, there's not a lot in this league this year, there's always these up and down results, but that's not a reason for us to accept not winning games of football where we're the better team, or giving ourselves a platform. There's been times, certainly start of this season, certainly in the cup games, where we would go a goal behind and build our way back into it, and we kept saying we can't keep giving ourselves this platform. Well, we've gone out in those 2 games that I've mentioned and really given ourselves an opportunity to go and do something, and not followed it through. So I think as everybody involved, we need to focus better. We need to realise, and I think we do realise, what makes us a good team, and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and make teams suffer. And if you win the game 1-0, win the game 1-0. Don't give teams an opportunity to come back and then to take the points off you.
Looking at the positives from that game, of course, 2 changes, one of that being Hector coming in for Joby, and he gets his first professional assist there and finishes off as a great move, and Danny Johnson scores.
Yeah, I think to touch on the back end of that is something that Danny's continued to do all throughout the season, and we know that if we give him the chances that he'll score. And like I say, we didn't give Danny a huge amount of chances last night, but he had a couple of moments, certainly got brought down on the edge of the box where it looked like he could have got something out of it, but we had a number of chances. Connor had shots at goal, we had shots from the edge from Craig Clay, and balls going into the box a little bit more than perhaps we have done in other games. I was really impressed with Hector. I thought, fitting with our first half an hour, I thought Hector was a massive part of that. He carried the ball up the pitch really well, linked up fantastically with Connor as he did for the goal, but there was 1 or 2 other moments as well that got Connor room to get shots away. And I've said all along that he excites me as a lad and as a player, and I think that was another phase of it last night.
And really good to see Lee Angle start a league game out there.
Yeah, and I thought, again, Lee's start to the game was really good. He gives us a different platform. When we have both Ruel, Louis Dennis playing on that side of the pitch, they're all talented boys. They've all got their own individual strengths. Lee gives us a different one. We can play up to him like you would do a striker. That he's going to keep the ball alive. That he's got a good touch and he's going to bring other people into play. Now it's a case of building on that. Whether he starts every week, I'm sure that's something that Lee wants, but we need to make sure that he's improving physically all the time to be able to get closer to doing it for 90 minutes.
Danny Johnson's played a lot of football in that central role. Do you think Lee perhaps return and has that instinct as a centre forward? We perhaps could see him there?
It's a position that Lee plays. He's played it for us. I think to be honest, if I don't think there'd be too many people that disagree with me, I would say that throughout the pre-season friendlies that Lee played in, he was one of, if not the best performer for us throughout pre-season in that central role. And because of the rotation of the teams and to get people minutes, him and Danny were in and out of the team and sort of swapping around on that basis. So we know it's a role that he can play. Going to be very tough for him because he's got injured, playing very well, must I add. He's got injured and Danny's continued to score. So it's a lot of minutes, and I got heavily criticised when I changed and took Danny out of the team when we lost at Colchester, which I totally understand and respect, because when you take your top goal scorer out of the team and you don't win, you're going to be there to be shot at. But we do feel as though we have people like Lee. I think it's easy to forget that Ruel can play in that position as well. So we feel we have players that can play in that position. But as long as Danny keeps scoring, I don't think there's going to be too much doubt as to who takes up that role at the moment.
And it's Crawley Town up next for us, back at home. It'll be a strange one. Of course, we had the supporters back in last Saturday against Newport, and we won't now as London enters into T3. But we'll be looking to get the right result either way. Yeah,
we have to say that our home form's been very, very good. And it's a place that we always enjoy playing our football, but I think the results and performances have reflected that. So we go into that game confident, and we should be confident because there was a lot of Tuesday night that we should carry away with us as real positives. Crawley are a good team. They're well organised, they're hard working, they've got some talented players, good players at the level. So we know we're going to come up against a real challenge. An immense disappointment because I think for all of us, Newport game was a good performance. Excuse me. But the result that went with it, the atmosphere, the fact people were back around, the fact that we score a goal, get to celebrate with people, and the emotion of winning a game of football, any game of football, but a team at the top end of the league, to be able to celebrate that with your fans and then to have that ripped away from underneath us is immensely disappointing for us, and I'm sure the same for the supporters that were there on that occasion and the ones that were certainly looking forward to attending Saturday's game. So hugely disappointed on that front, but we'll be doing everything that we can. We've already started that process as soon as we got back on the bus last night, analysing where we'd gone wrong and what we need to do right. So we'll be approaching it in a positive frame of mind because we know that we've done it already. So we come back from setbacks and we need to do that again at the weekend.
Crawley had a really good start to the season. In their last 8 though, I think they've only won the 1 in the league. They'll be looking to find a win for themselves. Of course,
yeah. Like I said, it's a good team. I know John Yem's not particularly well, but I worked with him for a short period at Bournemouth, and he's a good guy. And I know that I'm sure being the personality and the type of person that he is, that he's someone that these players will want to play for. I'm sure he creates that sort of atmosphere. And I know 1 or 2 of their players, and I think it's going to be a tough encounter. But like I say, we go into every single game thinking we can win it, preparing to win it. And that's what we'll do when Crawley come to town at the weekend.
In terms of team news for Leyton Orient, Joe Woodison was suspended against Morecambe, so he'll be in your idea again for the team selection this Saturday.
As he should be, because I think Joe has been in the team in recent times through good performances, good runs, good results. So Joe, I thought he was harshly booked, if I'm honest, because there was time wasting going on in the first half of the Newport game, but for some reason time wasting doesn't count in the first half, it only counts in the second half. And with Joe not even getting a warning and then getting a booking, I thought was harsh. But he's picked up 5 bookings and it meant we missed him for Tuesday night. But like I say, it'd be an important one to come back in, and I'm sure he'll be pushing for a place at the weekend. And it's always nice to have players of that quality, knocking on the door. Talking
about players pushing to get into the team, a couple of names, Josh Wright, Jordan Maguire-Drew, they've found themselves not in the 18. What's kind of the reasoning behind that?
I think numbers, I think selection. Someone ends up missing out. I think what I don't want to do is blanket talk about the pair of them. I said after the game on Saturday that they both extremely good lads, really good pros. I think with Josh, it's been tough for him to get in the team because Cissé sort of started to make that deep position his own, and then Hector's come into light and performed extremely well when he has done. And then it's been hard for Josh to break his way back into the team, but he's here in training, working hard every day, and it must be immensely frustrating for him because we've had those conversations, but it's the challenge and the competition for places that we've got that ends up that good players and good people miss out. I think with Jordan, it's a little bit different. It's obviously been a bit stop-start for Jordan in terms of getting in the team because his direct competition has been Connor Wilkinson, and Connor's obviously contributed a number of goals this year. Now, Connor's played more minutes, so I know Jordan has a very substantial argument to say, if I have his statistics support him in terms of his assists and his goal contributions, not just him scoring, but his assists as well. So they're both players that hold dearly, want them to do well, and I know that they're players that can really impact what we do. Jordan's done a lot of work in the last week or so. He played against Bristol Rovers. He's had a little bit of a hip problem, which was why he didn't travel on Tuesday night to Morecambe. So we're hoping that Jordan will recover from that, continue to work hard on a physical level, because I think the thing when you're out of the team, it's tough to stay at that peak of physical fitness when you're not playing, when you haven't got reserve games to keep yourself in tune. It can come away, and me and Jordan have had a number of conversations on that front, and I know he's really refocused again in recent weeks on getting himself up to scratch and being ready to challenge for a place when he's capable of doing so.
And finally, since we're talking about the squad, it was a busy January last year in terms of transfer kind of activity. I'm sure there's been conversations already. Can you give us any insight of what we could expect?
Yes, I can, without giving you too much, because I don't want to give away too many secrets. There definitely will be some activity. I would expect that to be of a coming and going nature. I think with our squad being the way that it is, with certain people not being in and around the team, there will be opportunities for people to go elsewhere. I think we have to be open-minded to supporting our players and our people, because this pandemic has impacted everybody. There'll be supporters listening to this interview that are out of work, that have lost jobs, that can't get new ones, and that's very unfortunate for people. And I have to be responsible for that, for these professional footballers and their futures. So if something arises for some of the people that are without time on a pitch at the moment, we'll do everything we can to support them if it's going to be the right thing for their future. I think on the other hand, that also means that we want to strengthen, we want to get better. We're always looking to improve. If we can improve and do that with the players that are already in the squad, fantastic. But at the same time, January gives us the opportunity to do that. I thought we were very productive last year in January in terms of the players that we brought in, and we have our areas of target. Whether we get them all, whether we fill every position that we feel we need to, we can develop with, then fantastic. But we've certainly got our fingers on the pulse, and I think there'll be some movement as we get into January.